Poor twins sell toy car to save mom, then a millionaire CEO changes everything. Hey everyone, before we dive into this incredible story, we'd love to know, where are you watching us from today? Drop your location in the comments below. And if you enjoy the story, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more amazing content. The heat was already rising in Willow Creek, Mississippi, even though it was just 7:30 in the morning. The cicadas hadn't started yet, but the air was heavy, like it knew bad news was hanging in it. In a rusted trailer at the end of Oakwood Street, Jake Thompson sat on the edge of a thin mattress, staring at the red toy car in his hands. It was a small metal replica of a 1967 Mustang fastback. The kind of toy you didn't really play with. You admired it, respected it. You passed it on. It had belonged to their dad, back when he was a boy. He'd given it to Jake and his twin sister Lily a few months before he died in a construction accident. Since then, it had lived on a shelf above their shared bed, one of the last things that still smelled a little like oil, sawdust, and the peppermint gum their dad always chewed. Jake looked over at Lily, who was curled up on the other side of the mattress, still asleep. Their mother's coughing from the next room stirred her. The trailer walls were thin. Every sound travelled, especially pain. Lily sat up and rubbed her eyes. "Is it morning already?" Jake nodded. Mom didn't sleep. They both knew what that meant. Another day without her medicine. Another day closer to what nobody wanted to say out loud. "I was thinking," Jake said, still holding the Mustang, "maybe we should sell it." Lily's sleepy expression hardened. "The car?" "Yeah," her mouth opened like she was about to argue, but then she stopped. Jake could see it in her face. She didn't want to let it go. But she also knew there wasn't much of a choice. "We've tried everything else," she whispered. Jake nodded. "I know." Their mom, Michelle, had been working as a waitress and cleaning houses before she got sick. Lungs, they said. Scar tissue. Some kind of autoimmune thing the doctors in Jackson couldn't quite nail down. The hospital bills were bad, but it was the prescriptions that broke them. Over $1,000 a month for the medication that actually helped her breathe. She'd stopped taking them 2 weeks ago. She said they were too expensive. She said she'd be fine. She wasn't fine. They tried all kinds of things. Selling cookies, lemonade stands, odd jobs for neighbors, but this was a town where people didn't have much to give, even when they wanted to. Jake stood up and turned the car over in his hand. The tiny silver pony logo on the grille was faded. The wheels still turned, but one of them squeaked. He remembered the way his dad would wind it up on the kitchen counter, pull it back, and let it fly. "You know he wouldn't care," Jake said. Lily nodded slowly. "He'd want us to use it if it meant helping her." They didn't talk much more about it. Some decisions don't need many words. By 10 a.m., they were at the corner of Main and Walnut, just outside McCaffrey's Hardware, the only place in town that still had decent foot traffic. They set up a folding card table they'd borrowed from their neighbor Mrs. Janine, who ran a small Bible study out of her living room. On the table they placed a lemonade pitcher, barely cold, a donation jar made from an old peanut butter container, the toy Mustang in the center on a red dish towel like it was a treasure, a handwritten sign, "Vintage toy car, $100. Help save our mom." People walked by. Some smiled and nodded. A few dropped coins in the jar. One man gave them a 5 and didn't take anything. But no one looked twice at the car. They sat out there for 2 hours. The heat climbed. Their pitcher emptied. Their hope started to leak like a tire with a slow puncture. Then a truck backfired across the street and a loud voice boomed, "What's this all about?" The twins looked up. Mr. Walter Crane, owner of Crane's General Store, stepped out of his shop wearing his usual overalls and an LSU cap. Jake explained as calmly as he could. "We're raising money for our mom's treatment. She has a lung disease. We need to sell this car to help pay for medicine." Walter knelt to get a better look at the Mustang. "That's a 67 fastback, ain't it?" Jake nodded. "My brother had the real deal when I was a kid. Got it up to 130 down Highway 12 before he wrecked it into a ditch. Walked away without a scratch." Lily smiled faintly. Walter stood. "I ain't got $100 on me, but I'll give you 20 just for trying." He dropped the bill into the jar. "You kids are good. Don't let this world harden you." They thanked him, and Walter shuffled away. The sun kept climbing. Lily's lips were dry. Jake's stomach was growling. I don't know if anyone's going to buy it, she said. I don't either, Jake admitted. Just before noon, a black convertible pulled up to the curb. Clean lines, matte finish, rims that didn't belong in a town like this. The driver stepped out, tall, about 35, with aviator sunglasses and a custom-cut suit. Hi there, he said. This your stand? Jake stood up straighter. Yes, sir. The man read the sign slowly, then looked at the car. His lips pressed together in a way that didn't show pity, just thoughtfulness. He finally asked, This car means something to you? Jake glanced at Lily. She nodded. It belonged to our dad, he said. He passed away 2 years ago. It's the last thing we have from him. But our mom's sick, real sick. We're trying to raise money for her medicine. The man stared at them for a long moment. Then he reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a leather wallet. He took out 5 crisp $100 bills and laid them on the table without a word. Jake's mouth dropped open. Sir, that's way too much. The man cut him off. It's exactly enough. He picked up the Mustang and held it like it was made of glass. She's a beauty, he murmured almost to himself. He looked back at them and smiled. Keep fighting. Don't give up. Then he got back in his car and drove off. The bills flapped slightly in the breeze. Jake and Lily stared in silence. Then Lily picked up one of the $100 bills and ran her fingers over it like she wasn't sure it was real. Who was that guy? She asked. Jake didn't know, but something about the way he'd looked at the car, like he understood what it really meant, made Jake feel like this wasn't the last time they'd see him. That night, the trailer felt a little warmer, not because of the weather, but because for the first time in weeks, their mom had her medicine again. Michelle lay in bed with the oxygen tube clipped gently to her nose, colour already returning to her cheeks. You two sold the Mustang? She asked, tears forming in her eyes. Jake and Lily nodded. It was the only way, Lily said. Michelle reached out and took their hands. Your father would be proud of you. I am too. Jake swallowed hard. I hope the guy who bought it takes care of it, he said. Michelle smiled. I have a feeling he will. Outside the trailer, the moon rose high above the pines. In a small garage across town, a Millionaire CEO placed a red toy Mustang on his desk beside a photo of his own father. He stared at it for a long time, lost in thought. Then he picked up his phone. The sun had just begun its slow ascent over the sleepy town of Willow Creek, Mississippi, casting a golden hue over the dew-kissed grass and the worn-out trailers that lined the outskirts. Among them stood a particularly weathered mobile home, its paint peeling and its steps creaking under the weight of memories. Inside, 12-year-old Jake Thompson sat at the small kitchen table, his fingers tracing the chipped edges of a red toy car, a 1967 Mustang replica. It was more than just a toy. It was a relic of happier times, a gift from a father whose absence was felt more with each passing day. Lily, his twin sister, entered the room, her eyes still heavy with sleep. She glanced at the car in Jake's hands and then at the solemn expression on his face. You're up early, she murmured, pouring herself a glass of water. Jake nodded, not taking his eyes off the car. Couldn't sleep. Lily sat across from him, the silence between them filled with unspoken worries. Their mother, Michelle, had been battling a severe illness for months. The medical bills were mounting, and their savings had long since dried up. We need to do something. Jake finally said, his voice barely above a whisper. Lily looked at him, concern etched on her face. Like what? Jake held up the toy car. Sell this! Lily's eyes widened. But that's Dad's. It's the only thing we have left of him. I know, Jake replied, his voice cracking. But Mom needs us. We can't just sit here and do nothing. After a moment of silence, Lily nodded, tears brimming in her eyes. Okay. They spent the morning setting up a makeshift stand at the corner of Main Street, placing the red Mustang prominently on display. A hand-painted sign read, Vintage toy car, $100, help save our mom. Passers-by glanced at the stand, some offering sympathetic smiles, others dropping a few coins into the donation jar. Hours passed, and the sun climbed higher, casting harsh shadows on the pavement. Just as they were about to pack up, a sleek black car pulled up to the curb. The driver, a man in his early 30s with sharp features and an air of confidence, stepped out. He approached the stand, his eyes scanning the sign and then settling on the toy car. Is this really for sale? He asked. Jake nodded. Yes, sir. The man studied the car, then looked at the twins. Why are you selling it? Lily hesitated before speaking. Our mom is sick. We need money for her treatment. The man reached into his wallet and pulled out 5 crisp $100 bills, placing them on the table. Jake's eyes widened. Sir, that's too much. The man smiled. It's worth it, and so is your mom. He picked up the toy car, gave them a nod, and walked back to his car. As he drove away, Jake and Lily stood in stunned silence, the bills fluttering in the breeze. Little did they know, this encounter would set off a chain of events that would change their lives forever. The day after the mysterious man in the black convertible had bought the toy Mustang for $500, Willow Creek felt like a different town. For Jake and Lily Thompson, it was as if the weight on their shoulders had suddenly gotten lighter, though the reality hadn't changed much yet. Their mom, Michelle, still lay in bed, tired and weak, but now there was hope. The kind of hope that comes with cold, hard cash and the promise that maybe, just maybe, things could get better. Morning light. Sunlight poured through the cracked blinds of their trailer. Jake blinked awake, the old ceiling fan humming softly above. Lily was still asleep beside him, her breathing steady for once. Down the hall, the familiar cough was gone. Michelle had slept through the night. Jake felt the knot in his chest loosen. Maybe the medicine was working. He climbed out of bed, careful not to wake Lily, and went to the kitchen. The little card table from the day before was folded and leaned against the wall. The jar was empty. Every last coin and bill had been handed over. With no time to lose, Jake grabbed his phone and sent a quick text to his best friend, Marcus, telling him about the big sale. $500 for the Mustang, man. You won't believe it. Almost immediately, a message popped back. That's crazy. Did you tell anyone else? Jake paused. Could he tell more people? Would it help? The viral spark. Meanwhile, across town, Miles Carter sat in his sleek office in Carter-Tech's newly opened branch on Main Street. His phone buzzed, a message from his assistant. Local news wants to cover your story about the toy car. Miles had been quietly following the twins' story since that day at the lemonade stand. Something about their grit and honesty tugged at him. The toy Mustang reminded him of his own childhood and of his father, a hard-working man who had passed before Miles made his fortune. Without much thought, Miles typed a short Instagram post with a photo of the red toy car and the story about Jake and Lily selling it to save their mom. Sometimes the smallest things have the biggest meaning. Proud to support these brave kids. Let's all help save Michelle. Help the Thompsons. Within hours, the post exploded. Hundreds of likes turned into thousands. Comments poured in, many promising donations, prayers, and words of encouragement. Local news stations picked up the story, and before long, Jake and Lily's small stand was the talk of the town. The news crew arrives. The next afternoon, a shiny news van pulled up in front of the trailer. Out stepped Erin Phillips, a warm-hearted reporter with a genuine smile, and her cameraman Joe. Jake and Lily had never been on TV before, and the nervousness was thick. Hi, we're here to tell your story, Erin said as she set up the microphone. Can you tell me why you decided to sell the Mustang? Jake glanced at Lily, then took a deep breath. It was the only way we could think of to get money for Mom's medicine, he said simply. We didn't want to give it up, but she's more important. Lily nodded. Our dad gave it to us. It reminds us to be strong. Erin's eyes shone with respect. That's a powerful story, she said, and the response from the community has been amazing. People want to help. Flood of kindness. Within days, donations began pouring in from every corner of the country. GoFundMe campaigns skyrocketed, with Miles Carter's company donating generously and encouraging others to follow. The local grocery store held a fundraiser bake sale. The church organized a car wash. Friends and strangers alike sent checks and messages. Michelle was overwhelmed when she saw the kindness flowing in. I never imagined this, she told Jake and Lily one evening, tears in her eyes. You two are my heroes. A new beginning. The money raised covered Michelle's treatment, and then some. They paid off their medical bills, fixed up the trailer, and bought a used car so they could get to doctor appointments without relying on neighbors. School was easier now too. Jake and Lily felt lighter, freer to focus on homework and their friends. One Saturday they got a surprise visit. Miles Carter himself showed up. not with a fancy car or a business suit, but in jeans and a flannel shirt. "I wanted to see how you're doing," he said, holding the Mustang gently. "This belongs with you." He handed the toy car back to Jake. "It's a loan," Miles said with a smile, "for you to hold on to until you're ready to pass it on." Jake and Lily beamed. Their lives had changed, but the heart of their family remained the same. The morning sun filtered softly through the faded curtains of the Thompson trailer. The air smelled faintly of fresh coffee and lavender soap, a rare treat Michelle allowed herself after her latest infusion therapy. Jake woke slowly, feeling the weight of the past month's ease like a morning fog lifting. Beside him, Lily stirred, her eyes bright and hopeful in the early light. For the first time in a long time, their home felt less like a place burdened by struggle and more like a sanctuary of healing. Michelle was already in the kitchen, humming softly as she prepared breakfast. Her cough had diminished considerably. The new medications were working. The mountain of medical debt had been conquered thanks to the outpouring of generosity sparked by a single act of courage, the selling of a beloved toy car. Today wasn't just any day, it was a day of change, a day of promise. The unexpected visitor. As Jake dressed for school, the doorbell rang sharply. The twins exchanged a glance before Michelle moved to answer. Standing on the porch was a woman in her early 40s, dressed in a sharp blazer that seemed out of place on the cracked wooden steps of the trailer. Her dark hair was pulled into a sleek ponytail, and her eyes held the unmistakable glint of someone who had seen the world but never forgotten the small moments that mattered most. "Mrs. Thompson?" the woman asked politely. "That's me," Michelle replied cautiously. "My name's Emily Parker. I'm with the Carter Foundation." Jake and Lily exchanged a confused glance. They had heard of the Carter Foundation. It was the philanthropic arm of Miles Carter's empire, the man who had bought the toy car and helped kickstart their community's support. Emily smiled gently. "Miles wanted me to come by and talk about something very important." Michelle nodded slowly, inviting Emily inside. A new opportunity. Over cups of lukewarm tea, Emily explained the Foundation's mission to help families like the Thompsons, not just with emergency medical bills, but with longer-term support, education, housing, job training. "We want to offer you a scholarship fund for Jake and Lily," Emily said, "and also help Michelle with vocational training once she's feeling better. We want to help your family break the cycle." Tears welled up in Michelle's eyes. "I don't know what to say. We've been struggling for so long." Emily reached out, placing a hand over Michelle's. "You don't have to say anything now. Just know that you're not alone." School days and dreams. For Jake and Lily, school had become a place of new possibility. The twins thrived, buoyed by the Foundation's help with supplies and tutoring. Jake, always a natural leader, joined the student council, determined to use his voice to help others. Lily discovered a passion for art, spending afternoons painting vivid landscapes that captured the hope blossoming inside her. Their friends noticed the change too. "Man, you guys are unstoppable," Marcus said one afternoon, tossing a football across the field. "What happened?" Jake smiled. "We just have a reason to fight harder now." The return of the Mustang. One day after school, a small package arrived at the trailer. Inside was the red toy Mustang, gleaming as if new, along with a note. "For the twins who reminded me what truly matters, keep it safe and pass it on when the time comes." Jake and Lily stared at the note in awe. "It's like a symbol," Lily whispered, "of everything we've been through." Michelle hugged them tightly. "It's a sign that no matter how hard life gets, love and hope will always steer us forward." A community united. The story of the Thompsons continued to inspire Willow Creek. Neighbors banded together to build a community garden, provide after-school programs, and create a fund to help other families in need. Miles Carter visited often, sometimes quietly, sometimes to speak at local schools or community meetings. He never asked for credit, only that the message of kindness be passed on. Looking forward. As graduation approached, Jake and Lily stood on the cusp of new beginnings. Scholarships secured, dreams bigger than they'd dared to imagine, and a family stronger than ever. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the pine trees, Michelle sat with her twins on the porch. "You've changed our lives," she said softly, "not just because of the money, but because you never gave up." Jake grinned. We just did what Dad would have wanted. Lily added, and now we get to help others do the same.